Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Schultz. I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market. And on today's video, as I do each and every single month, I'm going to be doing a data deep dive with all of the metrics that our MLS published for the closeout of February. Obviously, we always look at data in arrears, but don't worry, I will be giving you my predictions at the end of this video for what is to come, as well as all of the valuable advice for both buyers and sellers. So don't you go anywhere. The first KPI that we always look at is the median sales price. This metric just barely changed by less than 1%, but it did go down. However, as you guys know, we're talking about median, we're not talking about average. And also, our median price per square foot went up by pretty much the same amount. So I'm just going to go ahead and call that a wash. Really, the sales price hasn't changed month over month from the closeout of January. However, the median sales price in our market landed at $569,500. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about Reno, Sparks, Carson City in this video. It's not the rest of our MLS, but it is those three places. I also should mention that I am talking about single family residences only, so these numbers would not apply to manufactured homes or condos, townhouses, or of course, raw land. Let's talk next about number of closed sales. This came in at 311, which is 5.8% higher month over month and 4% higher year over year. I think that's to be expected. As you guys hear me say in many videos, our market and every market tends to typically slow down during those holiday months. So December, January, we do see things really cool off simply because people are busy with holiday stuff. But that said, it is normal then to see February have a bit of an uptick, which is what we are seeing here. Okay, you guys, this next metric that I'm going to talk about is actually the biggest change that we saw month over month, and it is a pretty good indicator of what is going on in our market, and that is median days to contract. If you guys aren't familiar, that is the amount of time between when a seller lists a property or a property goes live on MLS to when they have an accepted offer and are entering into the escrow process. This number took a steep nosedive by 32.4%, landing at only 23 days to contract. So, what that's telling you is that we are seeing a pretty strong seller's market right now, and I can attest to that here on the ground. The last several offers I wrote were up against multiple offers. There's a lot of traffic at listings right now. We are seeing things really pick up now that spring has come. I know about a week ago from the time of filming this, we had a few days that were in like 65, 70-degree weather. Maybe that has something to do with it, but we are seeing things truly pick up and they are kind of swaying towards the selling side of the transaction. But I have a lot to say about that, so don't go anywhere. Stay with me. Let's talk about percent of list price received. I always tell you guys every month that this is the number that usually changes the least in our market. And once again, that is true. The percent of list price received for the closeout of February was 98.6%. This is only half of a percent higher than it was the month before, and it's 0.4% lower than it was year over year. So, really, that is steady in our market. When things are appropriately priced, sellers are usually getting pretty close to the list price. That's basically what it's telling you. I mentioned this KPI in the beginning of this video when I was talking about median sales price and how it had actually come down by a little bit less than 1%. But interestingly enough, our median price per square foot increased by about the same amount, 0.8%, landing at $314. Pi, 3.14. Okay, sorry, I'm being a nerd. This number is down from the year prior, but only by 0.9%. So that's marginal. And again, you guys, we're talking about median, not average. So those numbers kind of have the tendency to fluctuate a little bit more than I would say an average, but I'm going to keep going. Number of new listings. Let's talk about this one. This number decreased by 4% month over month, which actually really did surprise me because I always say more inventory comes on the market in spring, typically. I mean, obviously, there are extenuating circumstances and things that we can't control. However, what is typical in our market is that springtime things start to pick up. buyers come out of the woodworks, more listings hit the market, we have more inventory. Although, as I talk about often in our market, we have a huge scarcity issue here. We have far less homes for sale than we have people who need to buy them. And that's going to be true. I actually went to a seminar on this recently. They were saying that if our population stopped growing today, which obviously it's not going to, but if it did, it would still take between 5 and 10 years for the people who need the homes to be able to get them, basically for the inventory to catch up with the demand, if that makes sense. It is worth pointing out, though, about the number of new listings that it's up nearly 15% year over year. So I think it just kind of depends. I am willing to bet that at the closeout of March, when we look at March in arrears, we're going to see that a lot more inventory has hit the market. But don't quote me on that. I've been wrong before. I don't have a crystal ball. But that is kind of what I'm feeling in our market. Things just seem to be percolating. Spring is in the air, and I'm seeing more and more inventory personally, just for all the buyers that I am searching for. Let's move on to active inventory. This number decreased by nearly 9% month over month. Again, surprising because now we're seeing new listings and active inventory have gone down. Keep in mind though that with active inventory, that could be also connected to the absorption of what is available. So I guess that does kind of make sense. If less new listings are hitting the market and the demand is still there, then that would make less active inventory, right? Because things are going, or things are selling, in other words. It's also worth noting that active inventory actually increased significantly year over year. From the same time last year to the same time this year, we saw a 24.1% increase. This next and last of my metrics is also super telling and super interesting. We are going to talk about months supply of inventory, which landed at only 2.1. And this is a very steep decrease month over month. It went down by almost 14%, you guys. It is up over 19% year over year, though. But if you guys didn't know what this metric is about, basically, if no new inventory hit the market, then the current inventory that is available now would be absorbed in this amount of time. And so this is 2.1 months, which after the year we've had seems like a very, very short time. Now we're going to go over this from a high level. We're going to talk about advice for buyers and for sellers. What does it all mean? What are the predictions? So, thank you for being patient, but here's the part you've all been waiting for. If you are a buyer in this market, although the median sales price slightly came down, it barely changed, let's be real. And the median price per square foot is going up. I think maybe it was just a momentary lull in the data. You also have to remember that these are lagging metrics, right? So the average escrow in our market is a 30-day period. And so when a buyer and seller agree to a price and sign a purchase agreement, that is the moment that those numbers are actually locked in. So if they closed in February, contributing to these data points, then we know that roughly 30 days before that, these were the market conditions, right? So it's going to be super interesting to see what happens at the close out of March. But what we're seeing overall here is that for the buyers, there is a serious lack of inventory. And we've known that for a long time. That's been true for a very long time. This lack of inventory is creating an even tighter, more competitive market for you. So if you are thinking about buying, it is absolutely imperative that you're doing all the things to strengthen your offer. If you're paying cash, make sure you have proof of funds. Make sure that if you are going to write a contingent cash offer where you have to sell a property first, make sure you have all those ducks in a row. And if you are purchasing with a loan, make sure you have your pre-approval letters. Make sure that you're staying in touch with your lender throughout the whole search process and making sure, because every single property, the numbers are going to be slightly different. Even if your pre-approval says a certain amount, a pre-approval letter from a local lender with a solid reputation that is, known in our community is going to give you a leg up over, say, a big box lender or, some online name we've never heard of. And honestly, like, this is a whole separate video, but if you're thinking about buying, Sure, you might get a more competitive rate with those guys. You're also going to be sacrificing potentially a little bit on the customer service side. It may be hard to reach someone. It might be that you're having to talk to multiple people every time you call. I don't want to get into that, and I'm not here to bash those types of lenders or loan products. But if you are operating in a competitive market, which this is for buyers right now, I would absolutely say try to get a local lender to get your pre-approval and try to work with them. Sometimes things can be expedited if it is like make or break to the transaction. On my end as your agent, that means like all the due diligence pieces have to come together in a timely fashion. So booking all the inspections, getting all the reports, getting estimates if needed before you go and ask the other party for credits or repairs, etc. So just having all of those things in place is going to help you make a really solid offer and potentially compete with a cash buyer. Sellers, we are really in a strong sellers market right now, and I mean we overall have been, but this is a really good moment if you're thinking about selling. I'd love to help you with that, by the way. But if you're thinking about selling, we have such an issue with limited inventory right now, and buyers are kind of coming back to the market. I do predict that we are going to see a lot more activity overall as we move into these warmer months. Now is a really good time. If you've been kind of waiting, which is always a bad idea, right? Like the best time to buy or sell is actually when it's the best time for you. Do you like my realtor jargon? But seriously, like if you are thinking about timing the market, now is a really, really good time to be putting your home on the market. Buyers are coming out. We're seeing multiple offers. We're starting to see traffic at showings again. It's starting to be hard to get in touch with listing agents sometimes. Again, I don't know if that's ever gone away, but they're just getting inundated with buyers agents calling and asking questions because it is so competitive out there. So now is a great time to be deep cleaning, touching up paint, doing all the pre-listing checklist items. And I would be so happy to advise you on what those should be for your specific home. But you want to start getting all that ready and get that thing on the market. Now's the moment. If you have any questions at all, I'm an open book. I would love to be a resource for you. In fact, you can book a free call with me. It's at your own convenience. You guys have a direct link to my calendar in the show notes below. It's no obligation, just a chance to connect, see if we might be a good fit to work together, or at the very least, get your questions answered and maybe help you put a strategy into place. And if you haven't already, it would mean the world if you would smash that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week about the Reno Sparks lifestyle, the Northern Nevada housing market, and all things to do with buying and selling real estate. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week.